And hi, everybody. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I'm just hooking everybody in here live. Um, Give me 1 second. And here we go. So I know I said I wouldn't do this tonight, and I guess I'm a big liar. So we'll see if Steve pops. Boy, Steve, you got me, didn't you? All right. Steve knows me better. Yeah, I decided I had the whole weekend off, so I was bored and ready to come back. So I'll let everybody come in the room and see what we have first. Hi, Brian. Thanks for coming. So just to catch up on a couple of things, we did great last week. Hey, Bob. We raised about $250 for toys, so I sent them out. Bought something nice for 9 kids. So thanks to all of you for helping out on that. 9 kids. I got some really nice notes from parents saying thanks so much. I guess, times can be tough in America, and I guess parents don't always able to do, what they'd like. So I'm glad to help out, and we all helped out together. So thanks so much for that. And of course, the food bank a couple of weeks earlier, we raised about $250 there too. So I hope that puts some food on the site. Just Moody wants to know about Derek Carr's injury. Supposedly it's not as bad as they said, and he's week to week, but nobody's expecting him to really play this week. Let's see. Chief in session. If you haven't dropped I like a drop on the video. Okay, so yeah, he's saying hit the thumbs up button. So yes, that would be nice. Matter of fact, we got something since Christmas is coming. I got something special for you, and that is we found a few of these. Only have about 6, I think, left. So. And this is the 1996-97 book we did on RFK closing. I did it with John Kime. You can see his name on there, Dave Elfin. Man, these are it. These are brand new, been sitting in a box for 25 years, 30 years, whatever it's been. And this is your one shot to get them. You cannot get this book anywhere else. It's all about, all the great days and stuff like that. There's Joe Gibbs' picture, all that. $25, signed and shipped. Well, signed by me and not the other guys. So if you want it, great Christmas present for somebody because you can't get this anywhere else. I'm telling you, I have the last few books. I mean, there might be some used copy on the internet somewhere, but whatever. So that's there. Got another one. If you guys, I'll get to your questions in a minute. Now, how many of you remember Terry Crews, who's on like America's Got Talent? He's the big, he's been in movies, TV, all that stuff. He did this cover. When Terry was on the Redskins for one season, I think it was 97, we got him to do the cover. He airbrushed this whole thing. It's his artwork. And there's about some of the greatest games on both sides of the rivalry. Kime and I and Dave Elfin and Mickey Spagnola, who's from Dallas, still around. We all did this together. You can't find this book either. $15, make it a little bit cheaper. And of course, there you go. 100 things Commanders fans should know and do is 20, because it cost me a fortune to get the last copies I could get. So if you want to get all 3, it's $50 instead of 60, and that's tax, shipping, everything on there. But I would tell you, first half dozen people that get the Hail to RFK book, that's it. You win the award for getting it first. So I'm going to put it in here again. Yeah, I'll talk about Commanders in a minute. Got to talk about me. There it is on PayPal and Venmo. You can buy it either directly. So like I said, well, Eddie, if you want all 3, no problem there. So it's 50, I've cut it $10 for you. So Hail's 25, Rivalry is 15, 100 is 20. And I appreciate anybody that buys me. Since I always say, support the show because I do this and spend time for you guys. This is the way to support the show and have something else for yourself too. So I'll do it one more time and I'll bug you later about it. Hail to RFK and America's Rivalry are here, and then the 100 Things book. All right. Today, Dan Quinn talked to the media. They've been gone a week. Came back. First question is, okay, is Marshawn Lynch going to play? Marshawn Lattimore going to play this time? And he said, well, it's trending upward. But they're going to put him on the practice field. They say he's done all the stuff he needed to get to the practice field. So unless they don't want to say yes, because if there's a setback on the practice field this week, then you look dumb. So, but I would pretty much be surprised if Lattimore does not play this game. And if he doesn't play this game, then just bang him for the season, man. Just forget it. So I think he's going to go out. Andrew Wiley is going to be practicing this week too. He suffered a concussion the last game back a couple of weeks ago. So that's a positive. Well, I thought Cornelius Lucas did a great job replacing them. They ran great. So that's going on there. I think that's it on that. We don't always cover a lot until Wednesday. That's when we really hear more about any kind of injuries or whatever. So the team came back all, pepped up. Nobody likes this late bye. And I thought it hurt them some down the weeks before the bye. The one good side is they got a chance to catch their breath and hit these last 4 games. But Glenn likes to talk about base camp, where you ascend the summit 1 week at a time. So they're just focusing on New Orleans this week. So it'll be interesting to see. One other thing, I got a video tomorrow morning about Gabriel Taylor, who is Sean Taylor's younger brother, who is now eligible for the draft. He hasn't been rated high on the boards, but it's still early for that. So I did a video tomorrow about that, and gee, would they let him wear 21 if he came to his own brother's team, or would he maybe stay at 26, which both Sean and Gabe wore in college. Right now, Jeremy McNichols has 26, but there's nothing to say. He's a free agent after the season on there. So I don't know. It was kind of an interesting thing about all that. Okay, first guy came in. Edward. Okay, I got your email. You're set. I mail them all tomorrow. So thank you so much. I do appreciate it. You got yourself a steal there. That I got to tell you, and I'm not making this up. I was on eBay trying to do something. I just looked this up on eBay, and it's going for $45 on eBay. And I'm thinking, what rat blankety blank is selling my book for that much money when I don't? And I still don't. I just think it's too much. I mean, it was $10.95 when we first sold it, but that was 1996. We sold the book at the last game at RFK Stadium. Wish I'd had $1 million. I could have been rich. Anyway, okay. Hi, Antoinette. Thanks. When would Ted try and fix the Wizards? I don't know. He's been trying. It hasn't worked. Bob, thanks for the kind words. And let's see. Mike, what's the news on the Redskins logo? Oh, Lord, here we go with this again. Okay, so politicians can say whatever the heck they want, and there's no sin about lying on Capitol Hill. Two groups believe lying is not a sin, okay? One of them is the NFL, and the other is Capitol Hill politicians. So you believe nothing that you see. There's always discussions about things. We'll see. The name's not coming back. Will the logo come back on the old merch? Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. But let me put it to you this way. There's merchandise. This book, we don't, it used to be Redskins fans, okay? I could sell the Redskins version all day long, and the publisher took it out of circulation, so you'd have to buy this one. So I can't get any more Redskins books. I could have flown those off. So if it comes time for you to buy another jersey, are you going to buy the Redskins one or the Commanders one? You're going to get the Redskins stuff with the old logo on it? They know this, So it's they're dancing the tightrope here because they don't want to change the name, but if they put that stuff out there, they're going to sell gear like crazy, which is nice because they make a lot of money, but you're fueling that debate again, which they don't want to do. Whew, not my call on that one. So anyway, Mike, that's all the answer I've got for you there. On there. Steve, thanks a lot. Eddie, appreciate it. Let's see, Kevin, based on Quinn's comment about Lattimore, does that give you confidence he might suit up? I would put it at 90%. Now, if something happens on the practice field this week with his hamstring, forget it. But I think I would be shocked if he's not playing. Plus, he's going against his old team and his old town. That means a lot to players more than they admit. You might see him Wednesday go, this is just another game. My butt. I don't think so. Do we need all 4 games to get in, Greg? Well, if you win all 4, you're definitely in. Two could, depends on the tiebreakers. If your 2 wins include over Atlanta, that helps a lot. If you can win 3, is there a chance you could catch Green Bay for the 6th seed? You really don't want the 7th seed. I mean, either way, you're on the road, and you got to beat whoever's in front of you. But I would rather be the 6th seed than the 7th, I think. I don't know. I wouldn't want to play Philly again right away, you know. But then Philly's weird stuff, so maybe it would be better to play Philly. I'd rather just take on Detroit. Go for it. Detroit's really good, but and Kansas City, has anybody had a horseshoe up their butt better than Kansas City? Man, he did it again. You know, I mean, but I don't think they're going to pull that off in the playoffs. I don't expect Kansas City, despite their record, to win the AFC this year. Okay, let's see. Gregory, okay. Abe, money talks. You got that right. It speaks loud. Joel, I have the 90, 91, 92 Redskins yearbooks. Is that like the media guide? Same thing? Or is it something different? Not sure. But I have a whole bunch of them. Maybe I should put that up for bid next. Let me just say this, since you guys are my top people who watch me. I was going to have to retire at the end of this season. I did not want to. It was not my call. But I am signing on with a new group this week to keep writing. So I'll be around afterwards. But I'll give the details a little more once I get to the new company, and start writing for them. But I'll be finishing up at 106.7 at the end of the month. Not my call, but I was there 11 years and loved the place, and I appreciated every minute there. And so I have nothing bad to say. But then that leaves me a place to go and somewhere to write, and I do have a new place to go. So I won't be leaving after all. I was kind of thinking I might, because I've been looking at this for a while. But I'll be back, because I'll be doing the live Monday show too till the Super Bowl. Yeah, and then I'm going to Hawaii for a couple of weeks, and kind of semi-retirement, I guess. And maybe next fall going to Europe and miss a few games. Ooh, my wife didn't think that was possible. And she said, "You sign on with this new group. We can't go to Europe." I said, "Oh, yes, we can." I mean, I'm getting old. Got to enjoy life while you can. I knew somebody died last week was my age. Do not like these kind of things. All right, anyway. So you guys get to hear it first. I wasn't going to tell anybody else until I told my primary people here. We'll still be doing the chats, Craig. Yeah. This is all part of the Rick Snider's Washington Empire Online, which in the past year has drawn 7.2 million views. I'm on. I've always been on X. That's a big part, as well as here. But I also do it on Blue Sky, which some reason I want to call Blue Ski, but Blue Sky's there, and also Instagram. RS Washington or Rick Snider's Washington. Different forms. Sometimes you see a 1-minute version instead of 2. I'm doing that a little experimenting to see how it works. So I'm on several different social media platforms. Looked at TikTok, no. But so I'm around, and the show has done great. Like this, I'm amazed how many people watch. I think tonight we're down some because I said I wasn't going to do tonight, but I had the weekend off, so what the heck. This is only talking to you for an hour. Not like I'm breaking rocks or something hard. So anyway, that's I'll still be doing all this. I'm going to be adding some new shows, different formats and different things coming up after the first of the year. So there's a lot going on for somebody semi-retired. I can't sit around. I've had a job since I was 10. I've been writing for somebody since I was 12. So I got nowhere else to go. Okay. Is Snider press spokesman still at the Washington Commanders? Yeah, I guess. I mean, the PR guy's still there. He had his own PR people too that we never listened to, Greg. So he had some corporate walks. We never paid attention to them. The greatest part of being a press is you basically can tell anybody to go screw off and they can't do nothing to you. Not really. So it's one job you can really be a disagreeable bee. And I was for many years. Now I'm just getting old. Tribal elder sitting closer to the fire. But in my heyday I could. So that's the great part about the job. You don't have to listen to anybody. Corporate people think that you step in line. I don't think so. And like Dan Snyder said, I want to be called Daniel Snyder. So we call him Dan Snyder just to tick him off more than anything. FedEx Field. Oh, it's one word. No, it's not. It's two words. We laughed them out the room that day. No one would do it. They kept putting it on their logo, and we kept not using it. Stuff like that would go on all the time. We don't have to listen to anything, Dan. You don't pay my check. So, never listen. Journalists are here to fight for freedoms of different forms. Maybe sports, but So, all right. Mike, I did a video about Sonny. Okay, it's before your time. Well, you're a kid then. I love Sonny, but man, I got a million stories about Sonny. I mean, we're good friends. I had lunch with Sonny every day for 5 summers at Frostburg. I became his de facto bodyguard and spokesperson. He didn't mind signing autographs, but he did not like to be bothered when he was eating lunch. So he and I would eat lunch together every day in the cafeteria. Back then, the public was allowed in there. And I would have to just kind of tell people, Sonny will meet with everybody at 1 o'clock, but he wants to eat first in peace. And I used to think Sonny was old. Now I realize he was about my age now. So, but I used to do that with him. I love Sonny. Great guy. Smart. Sonny could tell you ask Sonny about something going on in a game, and in one sentence, Sonny could boil it down to you so you'd understand what he was going to get. Did you see this part of the play? Okay, now I know what to look at. He was great about that. He and Sam were really close. It was a tough to lose Sam. We all really liked him. He was a great guy. I think after my father, I respected Sam more than anybody in life. Let's see. Do you ever make it to away games anymore? 11 Shaq. No, not really. They don't pay me to go on the road. I've been on the road a ton in my life. A lot. So I look at Taylor Swift with amazement, and at this point, the most nights I ever spent on the road were 75 in 1 year. Taylor's like on the road endlessly. I was so tired I couldn't stand it. How do these people, these rock, musicians and all, how do they do 200, 250 dates a year? I was gassed at 75. So it felt like I was never home when I was, but I don't know how people like Taylor Swift have done it. Me and Taylor Swift, that's quite a comparison for you. Let's see. Looks like Dallas is creeping up. That last game of the season, Joel, never know. Mojo, what would be the problem with throwback uniforms without the use of the word Redskin? Well, it would be kind of weird because you're talking about, if you're saying Commanders. Like, whenever I write something, just to explain this today to somebody, if the person was a Redskin, I say it's a Redskin. It would be stupid for me to write Washington Commander cornerback Darryl Green. Can't do that. I mean, it took us 5 minutes to figure this out, but that's kind of how it works. And even in the 100 Things book, 95 stories, I think, were on the Redskins. We updated the book. I added a few new chapters, like the new name, that kind of stuff. But the rest we kept as Redskins. It doesn't say Commanders on the old stuff. That would be dumb. So, and you don't want the old throwback stuff if you can't have the word Redskin on it. If it's a throwback jersey, run it as it was. Use it like it was. Quit sanitizing all this woke stuff. We went too far on some of this. Dan Snyder blew this. His own misbehavior cost this team its name and a little bit of its identity and soul. And maybe it'll come back. Greg, heard on the news that new stadiums are starting in 20 billion plus. Well, not 20 billion, 2 billion. I would say 2 billion is a fair starter number. Depends on some things of who owns the land. Mike, did John Riggins have a fallout with Washington due to the name change? Well, he didn't like Dan. I mean, that was really the fallout part. His Riggo didn't like Dan. Didn't want to be part of it. If you ever meet John, I'll just give you a piece of advice when you meet Riggins. Just keep it cool. He does not like people making a fuss over him, like, oh, Riggo, man, I love you. Oh, no, that's the worst thing you could do. Riggo will walk away. So best thing to do is just, hey, man, cool. I saw you play. Just chill. And you will talk with him more. I've known a lot of people to have a beer with Riggo over the years, things like that. As long as you don't, embarrass him that way. He's cool with that. But he didn't like Danny at all, because who did? Like the new president of the team, Joel. Yeah, this dude, man, I looked at his credentials and said, wow. I mean, not only did he graduate West Point, he was number one in his class that year at West Point. Then he flew helicopters for the Army for 6.5 years, became a captain. Then he was running Kraft Foods, and he ran some company I didn't know. And then he's at Campbell's now, which is Campbell Soup, all that stuff. I mean, he's the business side guy. He's here to do the stadium and make them money. He's not here to, play. But I tell you what, I looked at this guy's picture. I think he might be like 6'8". He's humongous. He towered over Josh Harris. And I think Josh, I can't remember offhand, but Josh is probably 5'10", 6 foot, somewhere in there. And this dude towered over him. So maybe he does get to play guard. I don't know. I was quite impressed with that. Steve, thank you so much for the donation. I do appreciate it. And like I said, if you guys want to buy a book instead, you can donate money. I do appreciate that. But here's my Venmo and PayPal. So like I said, what is it? 20. Okay. Every 15 minutes, the audience often flips. So I don't mind saying this because most of you out there are new. But this is one of my old books with John Keim and Dave Elfin. This has been on my shelf since 1996. Even though I moved, I put them back on the shelf. I found a few more. I only have like a half dozen. You cannot get this book anywhere else, although I saw it on eBay for $45. May 25, and that includes shipping and signing on there. So $25 for Hail to RFK. And then we did, after RFK, we did this book, America's Rivalry. This cover was done by Terry Crews, the actor who played for Washington that one season. He did this with an airbrush. Really amazing stuff. It's about the greatest games of the Redskins Cowboys. You can't find this book anywhere else either. They've literally been on my shelf, and I'm just trying to create a little room. I'm not selling every copy I own, but I had a few. So I'd like to make a little money. So 15. And of course, the 100 Things book, 20. If you get all three, it's $50 instead of 60 on there. So you can see on the comments, my Venmo and PayPal. And they make great Christmas presents. They're unique items on there. All right, so back to the show. Let's see. Should the new stadium be named RFK or something else? Well, okay. I think what can happen here is it might become like, Heinz Soup Stadium at RFK. I think at RFK is going to be the second half of this, but you got to sell the money on the first end because listen, you build a stadium for $2 billion, you want a few $100 million out of the naming rights. You can't leave that sitting there. I don't know why the Nats ever. Well, I understand Nats Park did it a different way. They name different parts of the stadium for different people, and it kind of adds up, and that's why it's still Nats Park, which I think is cool. But this new stadium, they're going to be looking for every dime they can get. So if it's, a State Farm Stadium at RFK, I think that could happen on there. I'd like it to happen. I mean, the RFK, is just synonymous. And there's a story in my book about this, about how they named it RFK just to spite Lyndon B. Johnson, who wanted his name on there. So it almost was LBJ Stadium, but a bunch of JFK people just rolled over them and did this at the last second while LBJ couldn't block it. It's all in this story. It's a great Washington political payback kind of thing. And then let's see, Timothy, I just got yours. So thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. All right. See, there you go. Already rolling in here. So Abe, let me see. I'll see. Is that Timothy, Abe? I know you got different names. Any land in Southern Maryland for a stadium near Solomon's Island. Well, who would go, Gregory? I mean, they have the Blue Crab Stadium down there for minor league baseball. I live in Southern Maryland, which you know. So there's no land near Solomon's Island, though. I'm sure of that. I mean, there's land, but I don't think that's too far out. You know how far Solomon's Island is from the Beltway? Like an hour. So nobody would ever come down. It'd be like building it down in, down in Woodbridge or something crazy. Joe, I don't remember anything past yesterday. So the Eagles, Redskins, 39-38. Wow. Now, I'd have to look at the box score for that. I mean, I've covered in some form maybe 600 games. I'm not quite sure of the number. And then I've been watching games since 1969, whatever that is. So for me to single out a game is unusual. But I can look at a box score and then kind of remember some of it. But I don't just keep it off the top of my head. Hale. Hale is 25, LimeWire. So 25 for Hale, 15 for Rivalry, 20 for the 100 things. 50 for all three instead of 60. Would you rather face the Eagles or Lions? Mojo, I'd say probably the Lions. We'll see what they do against the Eagles in a couple of weeks. That's kind of a key. But I mean, they're both good teams, but I think I'd rather go for the Lions. I covered the Lions Washington NFC Championship game in '91. Think about how long ago that was. I had a hair and everything back then on my back. But it's so it was a dismal day too, raining, and the Hogs just beat them in the mud. The body bag game I do remember, Mike. I mean, a few of these things I do, but just as a random game, no. There, I covered the drive. I had to cover the Cleveland-Denver game, and I was down on the side. There's 2 minutes to go. They moved the media down to the field back then, so you can get to the locker rooms. And we're at one end of the field, and we're just kind of walking along. I'm thinking about Cleveland's going to win. What's my storyline? Get down to the other end zone, and in Denver scores. It's the drive game. Who's in the dog pound at Cleveland Stadium that day, throwing whole oranges down on the media and such, the Orange Crush? John Kine. So John and I are best friends and work together many times. He's in the press box. He's in the stands throwing oranges down on me because we didn't know each other then. You could try getting clocked by a whole orange, man. That hurts. I don't know if it was John that hit me. I don't think so. but that's one of the crazy places I showed up in. Eddie, do you guys get a spread in the press box? Yep. No, it's not fancy food. It's most days for a 1 o'clock kickoff, it's breakfast, a brunch. I'm told, eggs and pancakes, and then there's hot dogs and halftime. And I don't criticize it because it's free. And if somebody feeds you free, you have a choice. You can bring a peanut butter and jelly from home if you want, eat it. You can eat their food, and if you eat their food, you shouldn't complain about it. Most press boxes now, a lot of places, not the NFL, but baseball and all, charge the media to eat every day now. So the Wiz, they shouldn't charge you to eat at the Wiz games because you can't keep it down for long. Whew, the Wiz. They finally won a third game of the year. God, what an awful team. People tell me, the Wizards got to tear down to build up. This isn't the tear down when they lost 16 straight already this year. They're going to win 10 games this year. This isn't it. Seriously, this is crazy to even be talking about stuff like this. It just disappointed me because I grew up watching the Bullets be a great team. Well, Derek, what's the chance of the old logo making a comeback? Slim, but I wouldn't say. Listen, the day Joe Gibbs showed up to coach for a second time is the day I quit saying never, because I never thought he'd be back for that, especially for Dan. So anything's possible, but I don't see it as much. Antoinette, would Jamison Crowder be back? Well, okay, so today Jamison Crowder was activated on the 21-day list now that he can practice and not count against the active roster. And at the end of the 21 days, you have to decide what to do. Well, at the end of that, there's like one game left. So I guess we'll see. They've had nobody really jump off that list and come right into the playing that week. So he's not playing this week. I'm not sure he would make a difference for them anyway at this point. Joel, Cousins is struggling. Yeah, by the Atlanta game, if Atlanta loses the next couple games, I could see where they would be playing their rookie instead of Kirk, when Washington plays them. At that point, you got to know what the rookie can do because you're going to be getting rid of Kirk at that point. Boy, Atlanta really screwed that whole thing up signing him. Patrick, yeah, they've been torn down a lot, man. They haven't been really any good. They were okay for a few years with Arenas and these guys, but just for a few years, and they only won 40 some games every year. All right, so Mike says Philly has a prison with the judge in the bowels of the stadium. Yeah, it's been true for a long time. That's a tough place. Philly's the toughest place on the East Coast. It used to be you went out west to Oakland. Oh my God, Oakland made Philly look like kindergarten. And I mean, to the point that the press used to have the cab come up to the press entrance door. I mean, to the door, so that you could literally walk out the door and open into the cab. Because when they made it like 100 feet out, you had to go out, people were getting robbed. I mean, it was crazy there. So that was scary. That was the one time I was in a place thinking, oh my God, where are we? So I was just watching a video today of Leonard Skinner playing at the Oakland Coliseum. And it was beyond packed, the whole place, and I thought, wow, Leonard Skinner playing there, that's pretty wild. LimeWire, okay, just sent me the PayPal. Okay, and yeah, I think I just see it now. Nathaniel? Yeah. Oh, so that's your real name. Okay. Thanks a lot. Do appreciate it. See, we're just knocking these things out. I might have money for Christmas. Let's see. Who I think wins the Heisman? I have no idea. I was just looking at that. I saw the 4 names there, and I'm thinking, I don't know college as well as I do pros, because Saturday is usually my day off. So I don't watch a lot of college ball except for Maryland, and even then, sometimes I'm not watching college ball. So I don't know, to tell you the truth. Usually quarterback wins it. Gregory, do you think Josh Harris has learned the NFL ins and outs? He's a smart dude. You don't get to be this like he does without it. Just getting ready to build an arena in Philly, really putting up some money there. No, nobody. It takes everybody a while to learn the NFL ins and outs, whether you're the owner or the ball boy. But he's been in over a year now, so I'm sure he's gotten a good education on a lot of things. Is Rookie of the Year locked up for Jaden? Can Derek? I think so. I mean, he's got 8 of the weekly awards. I mean, okay. I can't imagine unless he just is awful in this last month, which I'm not expecting, but, with so much where he can't play in the cold weather thing, he looked good against Tennessee, and it was 42 degrees that day. So I think anything's possible, but, they're playing New Orleans, playing Atlanta. Dallas is the last game of the season. You never know if that has a playoff implication. And then Philly. So, I mean, I think he's done all you could ask. Pretty much. I was trying to figure out how many yards he might throw for this year. 3,000 something. Will Brian Robinson reach 1,000 yards? He's like at 632 of 4 games to go. I don't know. I don't think he will. And it's been a decent year for him, but to me, you got to get 1,000 yards. A 17-game schedule, and he hasn't done it yet. First 2 years, there was reasonable parts. You get shot. I mean, what a horrible thing to happen. So that cost him a month of the season. Second year, he's got EB's offense, which is just calamitous. I guess everybody noticed EB got let go at UCLA, although he always, as his agent said, and I do agree with this, his plan was to go for a year and be back in the pros. But still, they were 111th, I think, in offense at UCLA. So I don't know who's hiring him. He's going to be an assistant coach somewhere again. Derek, is St. Juice as bad as the fans make him out to be? Well, yeah, but I think if you put him in a different role, maybe a little bit different offense, not have him on the other number 1, which you won't anymore because Lattimore's here, I think he plays better, but I don't expect him back. There are 12 players currently on the roster who predate Quinn, who were here last year. I think 3 or 4 of those guys might not make it back for next year. So when we talked about 60% of the roster flip, that was opening day. Now we're up to about 80% of the roster is gone from last year. Those are historic numbers. Those go back to, you have to go back to 1945 to approach this kind of a number. So, more change is still going to come on there. With a new team president, push for a new name and uniforms. No, Antoinette, I think he does what Josh Harris wants him to do. I don't think the new name and uniforms are necessarily his purview. I think it's more the owners dealing with that. But I think they could go back to the better version of the burgundy and gold colors. I think that would be nice instead of this weird thing they got going on. Clayton, if Michael Penix starts at QB instead of Cousins, Samer still is pretty familiar with him. Okay, hadn't really thought of that, but you're right. Samer still has had a really good rookie year. He started slow a couple games, and then since then he's been pretty good. Got to be happy with that. They've got several good defensive players, more so than they do most years. You know, when you look at it, I mean, I'm not going to say anybody on the line so much, but at linebacker, you've got Luvu, who's just knocking a snot out of people. And, you know, Bobby Wagner's had a really steady year. You know, you've got, I think Chin's had a decent year on that. Samerstill's had a good year. Quan Martin's had a good year. So it's more than they usually can say. Do I think Fowler resigns on a discount to stay with Quinn? Asked Derek. Yeah, Fowler's tailed off lately. He hasn't had quite the numbers, but kinda. I mean, here's the thing, and I swear this is true. With free agents at the end of the season, you're going to, when they clear out their lockers, you're going to see the reporter ask, "Hey, do you want to be back next year?" And they always say, "Well, sure, I'd love to be back." But if there's $1 more in another market, they'll go for it. And much to their own dismay sometimes, because they can't, there's an ego thing. And now everybody knows who makes what money-wise. They don't want to come back in the locker room for less or the same because they feel like they've been devalued if that happens and people look at them weird. So they'd rather go to another team even for less money than to stay for less money. And if there's more money, then they go for it. And I get it. Your career is short. You got to grab what you can grab. But sometimes it's better to be in the right fit. And your career will benefit from that more. Yeah. So, like I said, I've seen this for all these years. I've covered it. Let's see. Adam Peters is Bobby Beathard 2.0 mojo. Well, let's give him more in 1 year, but he had a great year. I mean, if you ask me, I would give him an A. There's a couple things I wouldn't have done like he did, but I still give him an A. I just won't give him an A plus. And you know, I'm not sure I'd give Bobby an A plus every year either. But Bobby, you know, was a great GM. I think I was a young kid with Bobby when I was around. A little bit I was around Bobby. You know, he didn't really talk to the media much. And I was a snot-nosed kid, literally at that point, you know, my early 20s even. So, you know, I wasn't one of the main guys. So I was just this kid starting out in the biz. And I was out there some. When beat writers needed a break or something was happening, they'd throw me out there. So I didn't know Bobby quite as well that way. But I did ask Charlie Casserly a question a couple months ago. And I said, were Bobby Beathard and Joe Gibbs friends or work partners? And he said, well, they were friends. And I mean, when you win the Super Bowls, everybody likes each other. You know, he said, but they were very much the work partnership of Bobby's got his own kingdom and Joe's got his kingdom. And when Bobby brings Joe Jacoby by and says, hey, Joe, I got you a new player. And Gibbs says, what am I supposed to do with him? Bobby looked right at him and said, you're going to play him. That's what you're going to do. And Jacoby went on to have a great career. So, I mean, they had different kingdoms back then, as they should. It's a checks and balance thing. But sometimes, as coaches would tell me, hey, you can sign him, but I get to decide how much he plays. So don't give me a guy that I don't want to play. So there's some give and take on that. Gregory hopes John Allen stays. I don't think he will. I think he'll be gone for next season. You know, Quinn and you know, Quinn and Peters have their guys, and if you're not one of their guys, like ask Forbes or Jamie, they're not afraid to let them go. So much for that. All right, we got 20 minutes to go. Here we go. Derek, does Allen or Payne or both get moved? I don't think Payne gets moved, but Allen does, I think. Mike, but the only thing about Bobby B is he didn't wear socks, right? Yeah, I talk about that at times. Bobby Bethard was like the first adult man that I met, I think, that didn't wear socks, because it's a California thing or West Coast. Not so much here because it's cold here. So I always, that was one thing that always struck me. He wore like loafers, didn't wear sports shoes back then. We didn't really have them. I know this was a million years ago, but didn't really have sports shoes like you see now. So he wore loafers and didn't have socks. I always thought that was weird. Now, kind of pretty common, I guess. R.B. Burr. Oh, there you go. I like that. Is there anyone you really enjoy running into to talk football or DC sports? I so try to avoid this. In my personal life, I have to talk about the Commanders all the time with my friends and family. And because they want to. I don't want to. I don't start the conversation. But I remember once at a family Christmas party, the first 7 people, these are all my cousins. I have a lot of cousins in town. My older relatives have all passed. But, and I remember first 7 people said, "So what do you think about Kirk Cousins? Do you think he'll stay?" I was like, seriously? No one wants to say, "Hey, Rick, haven't seen you in a while. Merry Christmas, cousin." No, they all want to talk about this. I almost had to have a press conference in the kitchen. That's kind of but I've gotten used to it. And I know a lot of people want to talk about it because it's good for them. But I don't instigate it, honestly. I know it sounds weird, but I got to do something else once in a while. Let's talk politics. Yeah. So really not in that level. Okay, KRT, do you think we can control our own destiny or have to rely on others? Well, they definitely control their own destiny, but will they do it? We'll see. I think they're going to win at least 2 of the next 3, and then going to Dallas, they may have to win that game or kind of thing. Now, they haven't scheduled the Atlanta game yet. We'll know next, next Tuesday, I think it is. When is the Atlanta game? Because we don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday. And then the Dallas game, we don't really know either. Kind of weird, trying to plan things. Gregory, has the NFL changed so much even when Joe Gibbs left? Oh, yeah. I mean, if you haven't been in the NFL in the last handful of years, it's a different world. The game changes so much, even year to year. So if you're out for a few years, you're an alien coming back from Mars. And that's why a lot of head coaches, will stay on somewhere else as an assistant or whatever to stay in the league. I mean, a guy like, let's say, Cliff Kingsbury, he's still being paid by Arizona. He doesn't have to work. But you jump out of the league for a few years, you're forgotten. If you're out of the league for 2 years, nobody remembers your name. It's hard to come back. So that's why they do it. So he's essentially working for free because any money Washington pays him comes off Arizona's tab. So you're really working for free. So, but people do it to stay in the biz. Let's see. All right. JT, hopefully we do enough down the stretch to make Cliff want to come back. I don't see Cliff necessarily becoming a head coach next year. I don't think he really wants to, but sometimes the opportunities will tease you into it. So, that's part of it. But I think he would rather be an OC and, be more anonymous, than a head coach has to be. It's my guess. Okay. Let's see. What's next? RB's laughing at me. Okay. So, yeah, I don't go around talking about sports a lot. I do because I have to, and I don't want to be snobbish. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want you to discuss Redskins with you. I'm trying not to be a jerk. Oh, gee, I stood in front of my own sign all game. Let's see. There we go. Good. I got one of these real weird shirts. You want to catch up with Jesus? I bought it off a vendor on the National Mall. So that time of year, we have to try and keep our faith stronger. All right. 15 minutes to go. All right. Does 18-game season start next year, Greg? No. Maybe I think the earliest. They're talking about 26 or 27. So that's possible. but 29 might be the number. They want it sooner than later. And to tell you the truth, I'd take 18 games over at a 2-game preseason. I hate preseason games because the coaches don't play anybody anymore. All right, Mike. Oh, we can talk about tourism for a few minutes. All right. Spy Museum. Man, I can't tell you of a more divided museum in this city than the Spy Museum. You either love it or you hate it. And I have met people on both ends. I met a guy who was on my tour who was the nephew of Mo Berg. He used to be the baseball player who was a big spy during World War II. I mean, amazing story, Mo Berg. If you want to look him up, Berg. I mean, this is a Jewish guy who was in Germany spying. I mean, he would have been executed. And his stuff's in the Spy Museum too. But the Spy Museum, they did change the Spy Museum a few years ago, made it a much bigger place across town. I hear it's much nicer now. It bored me personally. Another one is the Postal Museum. I had a couple of friends that are tour guides telling me about, oh yeah, Postal Museum. It's right by Union Station. I thought, who wants to go look at a museum of stamps? And they go, no, it's got all this other stuff in it. It's got vehicles. It's got, I kind of thought, I still haven't seen it yet, but I'm willing to go look, for that kind of thing. The Bible Museum is a really great one too. I like that one a lot. But they're all the museums. The new Air and Space, I think it's next year. They're going to open the middle third of it because they're redoing the whole Air and Space over like 10 years. The first third's mind-blowing good. If you come to town, you got to get tickets right now because they don't want it overrun. But the Air and Space Museum is great in the city. That's one of the best, I think, on there. I am a tour guide in case anybody's coming to town. I think I have one group coming right after Christmas that watches the show. I do it with fans. I cut you a price. I usually cut $50 off the price for you. So you can go to monumentalthoughts.com is my tour guide page. Also, the books are there. It shows you how to get the books if you want. But if you want to, I'm a licensed guide for 15 years. Take you around town, tell you any kind of story you want. We can go eat pizza afterwards. So we do that a lot. Okay, let's see. CIA Master of Disguise. Yeah, that's pretty funny, Mike. I've heard of that one. I met a guy who was a CIA guy who would do the makeup for people and like create fake noses, and he could change your look altogether. I met him after he retired because he was doing it for people who had cancer and like literally lost their nose or an ear or something, and he would do prosthetics that you couldn't tell what was going on. I actually met somebody who lost half their nose to skin cancer from the sun. And this guy makes these things for them so no one can see it. Pretty amazing. But he was the CIA guy. That was a long time ago. I don't even know if he's still around. Bob Barron. Okay, I hadn't thought of that. Eddie LeBaron, too, is a great former Redskin to look up. If you want to look up old history, I've never written about him, but Eddie LeBaron was a Korean War vet, came back, played NFL football, was very good for a while before Sonny came. And then he was Howard Hughes' lawyer, and he was the president of the Atlanta Falcons and all. He's passed away now, but Eddie LeBaron, I should write something on him sometime. He's a really fascinating guy. JT, does Lattimore make an immediate impact? I hope so. Well, it's got to be better, right? It's got to be better than St. Juice. So it's got to be, I think, at least makes teams think about it before they throw. Let's put it that way. So I think so. I didn't pay a whole lot for him, really, the picks. I didn't think so. So I thought it was a good deal on there. And he's missed 4 weeks, but they kind of knew that coming in. Bob Barron. Yeah, that's his name. Okay. Mike, yeah, Bob Barron. Gosh, I haven't thought about that. I did that story, I think, in 1995 or something. It's been a while since I did that story. I write all this stuff besides sports once in a while, just because you get bored. I want to try something different. The world's interesting. I like to go write about all the things. Or I do pizza videos or something like that. I did yesterday, did a video with my 2 granddaughters. We all made Christmas cookies. I have two grandsons too, but they didn't want to be in the video. So the girls and I did it and showed them off. They love, and the young kids today, they all want to be on YouTube. So once their parents say it's okay, I'll let them. Their parents are my daughters, but I don't want to just put kids up without it. Antoinette, what do you think of Juan Soto playing for the Mets? All right, I know that the Mets paid him like $3 million more a year overall than the Yanks, but if I have a choice, I would have stayed with the Yankees because you played well for the Yankees. You're immortal. You're Mickey Mantle. You're one of these guys. The money's great anyway, but if you could stay with the Yanks and be immortal, if you play great on the Mets, that's the same thing. I would have stayed with the Yanks because you got $760 million, is it? With a chance with incentives to go to $800 million. Okay, so say the Yankees would have paid you $740 million. I mean, what are you doing with this money? Are you feeding every poor person everywhere with it? I mean, it's hard to get rid of that much money. I mean, the government will take some of it, but I don't know. I'm happy for Juan. We all knew that this would happen. That's why he turned down the Nats for $500 million. And you're thinking, how can you turn down $500 million? Well, because they knew they'd get more. All right. Sorry. Sunday and Mondays are busy. To Hut, why don't they play Derek Forrest at safety more? Because they just don't think he's as good enough, and he's not their guy. I mean, plays special teams well. The coach likes him, but they're just Quan Martin got a lot more space, and Jeremy Chin got a lot more plays. So that's why. And he got hurt, and so you kind of lost your place there. Meest, there you go. Meest is back. I do agree it's a big risk for a 15-year contract, man. It's nothing to say that he doesn't go out there 5 years from now and break a leg. I mean, I hope not, but 15 years is a long time for guaranteed money. I hate to think he'll be playing against the Nats so much. He and Harper, Trey Turner, and they all stayed in his division, which just stinks. You see where Harper lost to a guy, just an everyday guy for who's the YouTuber I'm thinking of? I can't remember now. Mr. Beast. Yeah, my grandson loves Mr. Beast. But Harper lost a hitting contest to some guy. It was like $1 million prize for the guy. Mr. Beast is doing some stuff. Mr. Beast is cool. I have to admit. The dude went like to Africa and drilled wells for 100 villages. Yeah, that's life-changing things for people. He did it for 100 villages. He's not sitting on his money. Gregory, if they do RFK Stadium start over, don't slap paint on it and fix it. Well, no, nobody's doing that. Matter of fact, RFK is just a shell now. It's an exterior wall and the ceiling, roof area. But everything inside's gone. They stripped everything out. Now they just have to knock it down the walls and the roof area. So when? That's a great question. This thing with the Senate, they have to decide in the next 2 weeks, more or less. Is the RFK site going to go to DC's control? It's less than 2 weeks now, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not sure it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen now, you got to start over. I'm not sure what the next Congress, will feel about that and the president. You don't know. And I think Josh Harrison decides to stay in Maryland. Did you know Maryland said, we'll drop our objections to the RFK site going to D.C. if D.C. gives us a couple fighter jets as part of their reserve wing. What in the world is that about? I mean, I live around here. My father-in-law was part of that D.C. wing. He fought in Vietnam with them as a National Guard unit. The planes for the D.C. wing are at Andrews Air Force Base, which is the president's base, and it's, 5 miles from the D.C. line. There isn't an airport in D.C. itself. And we have fighter jets over at Pax River. I mean, if the British come back as part of the War of 1812 to kick us again, are we defenseless? Or are other states not going to protect us from a Russian invasion or something? What do we need fighter jets for? Just say you don't want to support the bill because it hurts Maryland's economy. Just nuts. It's a nuts thing to talk about. Just be honest and say, hey, it's not in our best interest, so we're voting against it. This fighter jets crap. Please. Gregory, we need to tell Roger Goodell's stadium plans, I would think, in 2025 because the current lease ends in 27. Yes, the lease ends in 27, but there's provisions they can stay. The money changes a little with the county, but they're not getting kicked out. Okay, a lot of it's about what happens to that site. But now when they first built that, it was on an old dairy farm and there really wasn't anything around it. Today, there's stuff all around it. So that land can be converted into commercial and all. It's not going to be abandoned. Mike, Landman on Paramount's getting good. I had to do my bill with Comcast over because they raised my bill $50. So I went in there and said, what can we do? And they just said, well, that's cool. We'll just lower it here. They didn't tell me the one change was I lost Paramount. So I didn't get to see the end of Yellowstone or a Landman after a few episodes. So I don't know. I'll catch up to it at some point. I've been watching Yellowstone for like 6 years. Now I don't get to see the ending. Don't tell me what happens. It's just weird on there. I figure Beth gets them all in the end. Oh, yeah, 5 minutes. I will say if you're coming around Washington, the Christmas trees are now up, especially at the White House. And that's the funny part. I didn't get tickets to the White House lottery this year. I always want to take my grandkids, but didn't win this year. And I say when they light the White House Christmas tree, it is either one of two things, raining or the coldest night of winter. And sure as hell it happened again. It was the coldest night with the wind blowing. And you would have froze to death. And we all kind of laughed and thought, thank God we didn't win those tickets. Because I would have been stupid enough to be sitting out there. And I've done it before. And it's bearable until the sun goes down. And then it gets brutal. And I don't think my grandchildren would really care at that point. But we'll catch it another year. But that's up. And the U.S. Capitol tree is up. To me, go to the Botanic Gardens right next to the Capitol. You can park there. The cops, their signs say you can't, but I've talked to the cops. They don't hassle anybody, especially when Congress is not in session. So you go see the trains at the Botanic Gardens, and then you can walk over and see the Capitol tree. There's a really nice tree in, they now call it City Center, which was a new development down in the middle of downtown. They don't pay me to call it City Center. They just said, we will be City Center. No, you're not. It's like FedEx Field's one word. Whatever. When you get old, you just don't care what people tell you to do. It's a nice tree. I'll give it that. But to me, the White House and the Capitol are better trees. I think the Capitol tree is the best one, but the White House has all the history. So those are cool to go see. Wreaths Across America is this Saturday at Arlington National Cemetery, where we'll put out wreaths about them for close to 400,000 graves. They get put out by the public in about 3-4 hours. It's a pretty amazing thing. You have to take Metro to get there, though. I saw a guy once try to steal a wreath from the graves, got on the Metro with it, and the women on that Metro attacked him over that thing because that's disgraceful to do, taking a wreath off a grave. And then they had, so that's cool going on. Georgetown's always cool. There's a lot of great stuff for Christmas time. Just try and pick a day it's not freezing. Mike, what's the score this Sunday? Washington wins. I haven't thought of the score yet, but we'll say 31-14. Okay, you're going 27-18. I'm more optimistic than you are, Mike. I think they beat them without too much trouble on this one. But that's the trap, isn't it? All right. Any last questions? Anybody still want to talk about the last time for the books? So if anybody wants it, here it is. Harold RFK, the only time you're going to get it's me, signed, $25. And I just put it in the comments where to go to PayPal or Venmo, or you get a Monumental Thoughts. Can't get this on the Amazon. There's none left. Okay. And then, Here's America's Rivalry with the cover by Terry Crews, that famous. I have the original art. I'm waiting for him to win an Academy Award or something. Then I'll sell it on eBay. But Rivalry is 15, and then 100 things is 20. All three are 50 instead of $60. That's signed and shipped. You don't have to worry about any extras. $20 is $20. I built it into the model. I don't make much off of these, to be honest. But if I sell you this book for $20, I've made $6. But if you buy it off Amazon, I make like $1.50 or something. So buy it from me, and I will mail them the next day. So, Eddie, thank you so much. I'll have your stuff in there tomorrow, and comes out of Southern Maryland. So I don't know, depends on where you guys live. Have I ever been to Fisherman Inn restaurant over Bay Bridge? Gregory, I've seen it. Never been to it. Because, you're heading to Ocean City, you don't feel like stopping. I usually stop in Easton. There's a barbecue place on the right side heading toward the beach. Forget it, but it's pretty good. It's the first thing you really see when you get to Easton. I like eating there because it's kind of easy, not too busy. Get something decent to eat, hit the restroom, and head on to Ocean City. Not that I go to Ocean City much anymore, but occasionally. Antoinette, is December supposed to be cold? Yes, it's supposed to be cold. It's the winter. Although this past week was brutal with the wind. Man, it was brutal. Caveman 2.0. Oh, it's over there. Yeah, Secrets of Caveman Cooking to be out this spring. It's an update of my old Secrets of Caveman Cooking. So I'll talk about that again as we get closer to it. I got to start working on it again. I've been slacking off lately. Just trying to do too many things, I guess. Trying to decide if I was retiring or not. But if you were with the show earlier, I announced I am not retiring like I thought I might. I am changing where I'm writing because I have to say goodbye to 106.7, The Fan. Not my choice, but I was a good 11 years with them. I have nothing but love for that. But times change. And so I'll be going to a new place, and I'll be writing for them very soon, and I'll announce who it is then. And let's see, if you watched any part of the show, if you've missed part of it, and you want to go back for some crazy reason, watch me talk more. YouTube will start playing it again as soon as I turn this off on there. I'll be at Greg, I'm going to be with the Fan till the very end of this month. That's not the end of the season. I'll be somewhere else for the end of the season. Not my choice. I've been laid off 8 times in 11 years in a lot of places. But I spent 11 years with the Fan, and I appreciate all of their support over the years. I have nothing bad to say. Except I just wish we could have kept going, but it's corporate's call, not mine. It's about money. I don't make much money, but it's still about money. So I'll have a goodbye column there, end of the month on there. But then I'll have a hello column soon somewhere else. So, and I can write for both for a couple of weeks if I want. So I probably will. And we'll still be doing this, for a while. So we're doing this show every Monday through. I was going to take today off, and I thought, it's okay. I haven't talked to anybody all weekend, so I know you guys enjoy the show. So I appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up button before you leave. That tells the algorithm that you love me. And I appreciate everybody who bought a book today. It's great Christmas presents for that on there. If you want to go on to, it's the last one. I didn't pitch this one, but if you want it, how much am I making this? 15. Yeah, it's 15 on pretty much because shipping's $5. That's part of it. All these books cost at least $5 to ship, post office. But you can also get it on Amazon. But it's all about the presidents and their favorite drinks. And it's a fun read on everything if you wanted to. I do appreciate it. They make good Christmas presents. I mean, nobody else writes this stuff. I like presidents. I find them interesting people on there. Do I think training camp next summer, Greg? I think it's at Commander's Park. After that, I'm not sure. But next summer, I think it's Commander's Park. Favorite Christmas cookies, Antoinette? I'm trying not to eat any anymore. So my health is my diabetes got really whacked, and so it's like back on the sober train again, without getting into too much of that. So I, but if I did, I mean, I'm a chocolate chip guy, but if you're talking about like gingerbread men or something, I like those. There ain't too many cookies I'd push away. That's how I got this way. But trying to lose some weight, once you hit 60, you got a new relationship with food. It's about um, not living to eat, but eating to live, as a friend told me. Sugar cookie with a Hershey kiss in the middle is awesome, Mike. Yeah, my mom made those. Those were good. Unbaked cookies, my mom would make those. Were really good. Snickerdoodles. Like I said, I didn't get the size, skipping on cookies. But nowadays, it's medically, you just have to say, what do you want to do? So do you want to live and feel better or eat junk? It took me a long time to learn the answer to this. So I hope all of you learn the answer to this from me. All right. There you go. That's sad enough. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm Rick Snider. Thanks so much for coming, everybody. See you next Monday. But then, videos in the morning and evening, all that stuff. We're around. I'll be speaking somewhere near you. Anyway, thank you all so much, and I will see you again next week. But how do I turn it? Oh, yeah. I don't know where I'm turning it off.